this week's edition of the Pete Mezzetti Show. I'm Pete Mezzetti. My guest this evening is Brendan from River Valley Transit.
How's it going, Pete? Long time no see.
Bud, how are you?
Doing?
Good to see you.
Good to see you as well.
It's been a while.
It has. We've been busy.
I have been. How about you guys?
We've been busy ourselves. Plenty to report back to you. So
I know. Well, what's going on?
Yeah, well, I guess a good place to start would be our. We're very excited to announce that on October 8th we launched our Tap and Ride pilot in River Valley Transit, and so. What that is, we're pretty excited. It's a statewide program, so we thank DOT for the support on this, for choosing us as their pilot. But this is a state program that adds contactless payment devices. We call them fare validators on all the buses, all the fixed route buses.
Okay.
So in English, what that means is it's a little box you'll see right next to our fare boxes on the bus that now you can just tap a credit or debit card onto the bus to pay. So instead of having to find your exact change or go to the office and buy a ticket, a paper ticket, or our token transit app. Instead, you can use debit or credit cards. And one thing I want to get out of the way, first of all, is that there's no change to existing fares. So if you prefer to pay with a ticket, if you prefer to pay with cash, token transit, those are all still available options. This is just an additional option that it's kind of cool because you see this kind of technology in bigger cities, right? So you see it in Boston recently, and in their T system and bus system added this technology. In New York, the Omni system, where you just tap a card. So I think we're the first, believe it or not, the first transit district in the entire state to get that technology, which is pretty cool.
Cool.
So we're the pilot for the program. If it goes well, if people like the service, if things go well, it could even be a statewide implementation potentially. So so the end goal, is to see fares be unified across the state and have it be a very simple process. That way, if you're hopping on one bus in our region, if you go to, let's say, New Haven, for example, it should be a seamless transfer, most riders don't care about who's giving them the service. They just want to know, can I get to A to B, right? You can work with River Valley Transit, CT Transit, Southeast Area Transit in New London. It doesn't matter to them as long as they're getting on seamlessly throughout the system. So I know the state is very interested, and we've been working with them on that to try and have a much more statewide unified fare structure. And these devices are a first step in that direction because they could work anywhere. And so it's not just us who are getting them. We have ours installed, but CT Transit Meriden Division, so all the Meriden routes at the Meriden train station, they also have these devices. And so that was important because they wanted to see how do the transfers work. Because part of this technology is if I use a debit card, I tap on, let's say I start my day in Meriden, I tap on that first bus, I get to the train station, I then hop on our bus. If I use that same card, I get a free transfer between the systems and vice versa. And so that's a pretty cool thing, and that's something that we'll be seeing. If it goes statewide, you'll see those free transfers. And right now, you'll be seeing it right now for folks who are taking the Meriden bus to Middletown and vice versa at the Meriden train station. So that's pretty exciting, and I think it bodes well for the future of fares. I'll also mention too, there's lots to talk about with this system. It's kind of cool. It actually has cost-saving measures involved as well. So how it works is it's called fare capping. And what that means is, it's kind of like how it sounds. It basically puts a cap on the amount of fare someone will pay in a given day, in a given month. So what that means, it's all tied to your debit card. So let's say I pull up my debit card and I start my day in Meriden, $1.75, that's the fare. I get in the bus, I get a free transfer to Middletown, and then I hop on another bus. Well, if my second tap that I'm being charged, it'll recognize that's your second tap for the day. And it'll say, wait a minute, you've paid $3.50. That's a day pass price. So it'll give you a day pass for the rest of the day. So if you tap twice and get charged twice, so you get $3.50, the rest of the day you can ride for free. It'll give you the best deal automatically. So instead of having to say, I want to go out on your own volition and buy an all-day pass, you don't have to do that with these cards. It will calculate it for you when you do that. So that's pretty nice, because maybe some days you don't know if you're going to need an all-day pass or not, but it'll always give you the best deal. That also includes monthly passes. So let's say you're a frequent user, use it every day or most days or many times a week, and let's say our monthly pass is $52.50, which is actually one of the cheapest in the state, but it's still a lot of money. So it's a big chunk of change to dole out once a month in one lump sum. But let's say, for example, you use the bus a lot. Let's say by the 21st of the month, you just happen to have spent $52.50 through all your taps, your day passes, all those charges. It keeps track of that. So when you hit that $52.50, it'll say, oh, wait a minute, this person's paid the monthly pass, and now that card gives you a monthly pass for the rest of the month. So you can ride for free for the remaining 8 or 9 days or whenever you hit that cap. So that's what fare capping is. I hope I explained that well. It's kind of complicated, but basically it'll give you the best deal you can without having to actually go out and buy the monthly pass or buy an all-day pass. It will just keep track of it for you and give you the best deal you can.
Nice.
Yeah.
And how are things going with the Token Transit app?
Yeah, so that's another great app too. So Token Transit is actually one of our most popular ways to pay.
Yeah.
I don't know the exact numbers, but something between 15 to 25% of our rides now are actually coming from Token Transit.
Oh, wow.
And what that is, that's an online app that was kind of the only way you could pay for transit in our systems with a debit or credit card before these readers was Token Transit, because it's an app that allows you to attach a credit or debit card, and then you can buy online passes. So it's kind of like, instead of having to go to the ticket vendor and getting a ticket or paying with cash, you can attach a credit and debit card. That's what folks were doing before.
Right.
And some folks still might do that because they might like that platform, and that's great. But this new tap and ride is even easier because you don't even have to create an account. You can literally just go up and tap a card. There's no like pre-setting an account, or you can just go in any card. There's no registration required. You just tap your card, and that'll just let folks know too. It's a credit or debit card, but it's also other cards as well. It can be like a Apple Wallet, Google Pay, like all like the online kind of things. It'll read those. Cool. It'll also read some Cash App cards and some other cards. So as long as it's a Visa or Master branded card, MasterCard or Visa branded card, it will read it and it will work. And we're also working to get Amex and Discover as well pretty soon too. So about 95% of the cards out there, these devices could take. Wow. So it should work for you, pretty well. So it's pretty exciting, and like I said, there's some statewide implications, which is pretty cool.
And obviously, this is just a pilot program to see how it goes.
Yeah, this is a pilot program, but for us, it is and it isn't, right? So it's a pilot for the state. So what they're going to do is we launched in early October. We're starting to already see taps. We can see people are using it. And what the state will do is they're going to take all the data, all the transfer data. We did customer focus groups before. We did operator focus groups before we even launched, to hear their opinions on it, what they wanted, the branding, that kind of thing, their input. But we're also going to do it during, so in a couple of months, we'll also do a customer focus group. We've already collected surveys, we'll collect more surveys, kind of see how people are liking this service. Are there any problems? Are there concerns? We're trying to address those. And all that information, all that data will be collected by DOT, and this is through a U.S. Department grant, so they're going to actually be reporting back to their grantees, to let them know how it did. And if it goes well, there could be additional rounds of funding to expand into other transit systems across the state, and then it could proliferate from there, hopefully. So, I mean, it's not a guaranteed thing. It has to see how it works. We have encountered there's been some challenges for sure. Some of the devices can be a little finicky sometimes, but we've got them mostly back online, and most of them are working well now. So, but it's a pilot, so it's new for us, and we appreciate folks being understanding about that. But I will say, the vast majority of the units are working fine, and we haven't had too many problems. But every once in a while things will pop up. Right. That's part of the learning process, and that'll get smoothed out as we go. So it is a pilot. But I will say it's a 6-month pilot. But devices are staying on. We're not taking them off after 6 months. So they'll take 6 months worth of data, but they'll remain on our buses, because we're not going to get rid of them. It's good technology, and we're going to keep it on. So it's a pilot for the data collection for DOT, but for us, these are our devices now. So we'll have them going forward.
Cool.
Yeah.
Now, let's talk about the Extra Mile expansion update.
Sure, yeah. So on May 28th, we launched a bunch of new service. It was our biggest expansion of service. I don't want to say ever, but it was a massive launch of service. That's right. Because we launched both the governor's fixed route expansion and the microtransit expansion on this. It was a very big undertaking for a big day. I'm happy to say that it's going well. So this Extra Mile program, a little background. I know you've used Extra Mile before. It's an on-demand service. Right now, the main zone before this was in Old Saybrook, Essex and Westbrook, and I know you've used it before. And it's $1.75, and it's basically like an on-demand kind of Uber or Lyft. It picks you up, and it takes you wherever you want to go in a certain zone. It's very popular. It's a service called microtransit. That's what it's known, across the country, across the industry. But our brand of microtransit is Extra Mile. That's our name for it. And so you might see the Extra Mile bus driving around town. And that bus does very well. Lots of ridership. A lot of people love it. It's super convenient, right? It's a same-day on-demand service. So I can pull up my phone right now and book a ride, and it will come here in 10, 15 minutes and pick me up and go where I want to go. So for $1.75, you can't beat that. So people will definitely use that. And so this is an expansion of 3 new zones. We had Old Saybrook before, and we had Middletown, which was kind of a pilot, reduced hours. But with this grant, with this money through DOT, which again we appreciate, we applied for it and we received it. we were able to operate a bunch of new zones, one of them in East Hampton, a small zone in East Hampton, which is great. Middletown, which is awesome. We had Middletown before, but it was very much only weekend hours. We were kind of scraping some money together to keep it going, but this gave us full service. We're back to Monday through Saturday in Middletown. And then the entirety of Madison and Guilford, which is kind of crazy. It's our biggest zone yet. So Old Saybrook, Essex, and Westbrook is a pretty big zone. The entirety of Madison and Guilford is definitely our biggest undertaking.
Wow.
So
Holy cow.
it's been going well. I mean, the ridership in all three zones has been going. I'd say Middletown and Madison and Guilford are definitely the strongest, with East Hampton, not unsurprisingly, it's a more rural area, but we're seeing some riders. We definitely want to see that continue to grow. And this is a pilot project as well. So this is a 2-year pilot. So no matter what, we'll have funding for 2 years. So you will see these services on for 2 years. And after that, it's going to depend on ridership, how well the service is operating, what's the cost, right? So service is not guaranteed beyond these 2 years, but we hope, and if people use the service a lot, we hope that it'll stick around. It'll be so good. Some people will have such high ridership that it'll be hard to remove the service, right? When a service is really popular, it's hard to remove it. If it's not doing so hot, it's easy to cut. So we hope that folks take advantage of these services. And you can go on our website, River Valley Transit. There's an Extra Mile page. And also, you can download our free Extra Mile by RBT app.
Right. So
there you can book rides. You can book rides on an app, which is pretty cool, kind of like an Uber or Lyft. And you can also call in. So if you don't have a smartphone or you don't want to deal with an app, you can call in to our dispatch center as well for most of these zones. But we definitely recommend the app because, one, you can attach a debit or credit card. That's always nice.
Right.
And you can also see where the bus is in real time. So when you book the ride, and it'll give you an ETA. So say the bus will be there in 10 minutes, and you can see the bus driving towards it. It's a better experience. But you can definitely still call in. So we have a lot of seniors who might call in, might not have a smartphone, but they still want to access the service. So we can definitely accommodate that if folks want to call in as well to a dispatch. We can definitely book rides that way too.
Would you mind sticking around for another segment?
I'd love to.
All right, we'll be right back.
Thanks.
Vacation rental cons top the list of travel scams reported to Better Business Bureau. Con artists often pretend to own these rentals and try to talk you into paying them directly instead of through a travel company. It may be tempting because scammers will offer a cheaper deal, but the last thing you want to do after taking time off of work and paying for airfare is to get to your destination and learn the home you plan to rent doesn't even exist. Do extra research before buying into an ad you see on social media or online. The free cruise is also a common con. Read the fine print and watch out for add-on fees, taxes, and other charges. And finally, beware of third-party booking sites that claim to sell airfare. You pay with a credit card and then receive a call from the company asking you to verify personal information such as your bank account. In other cases, you're told your flight was canceled and convinced to fork over more money to rebook. To see the full list of vacation scams and how to avoid them, visit bbb.org/travel, and to report a scam, visit bbb.org/scam-tracker.
Welcome back to this week's edition of the Pete Mezzetti Show. I'm Pete Mezzetti, sitting here with Brendan from River Valley Transit. Welcome back.
Good to see you, Pete.
Thanks for sticking around.
Yeah, of course.
Absolutely. Now, let's talk about the fixed route service span.
Sure, yeah. As I mentioned in the previous conversation there, on May 20th, we launched more service as well. And right. So we talked about Extra Mile, but then this is our second half, which is our fixed route expansion, so our traditional bus route system. So we launched, again, through the governor's budget, which we appreciate. We got a good chunk of change to increase our service span, which means the hours the bus runs, right? So sometimes you can increase frequency, sometimes you can increase this, and we applied for all of that, but we received money for span, so longer duration of service. And so we were able to, most of the service was dedicated to Middletown because of the ridership and that kind of thing. So, but there is some shoreline service, which I'll talk about. But at Middletown, we got weeknight extensions, so now the majority of the bus routes will operate till 11 p.m. Cool. Before, some of them ended at 7, some went to 11. Now pretty much all of them go to 11 p.m., which is great. So that's awesome. Saturday night as well, so as before, all the buses ended at 6 o'clock on Saturday. Now they end at 11 o'clock, so again, more access. And then most excitingly, Sunday service. We hadn't had Sunday service in either zone, either in Middletown or in the shoreline, and I'm happy to say that we now have Sunday service in Middletown and even some in the shoreline. So in Middletown, we have our bus routes going from 8 to 6 p.m. And then in the we have the 641 bus route, which is our most popular bus route in the Shoreline. Yep. The route for folks who might see it, it's the big buses in the Shoreline that go from Madison to Old Saybrook and back. Those are very popular and really good ridership, and that's on Sunday as well. And that matches the Saturday schedule, which I believe is between 6 to 7 p.m. I want to say, something like that, 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. So great, and I'm happy to say that we can see how the ridership is doing each hour, and we're definitely seeing that people are using the service, which is great. And it's nice to see because we did a study in 2020, and we asked some of our riders, like, what are the services you guys want to see, right? What if you had a wish list, what would you put on there, right?
Right.
And one of the things we saw was, frequency was definitely one of them, more frequency, and we also like to do that at some point too. But another big one was the service span, and getting weekend service and getting longer service. And so we're really happy to be able to kind of check this off the list that we were able to add some really increased service span, which is exciting. So, and the riders seem to be actually using it, right, which we always appreciate. So we're seeing really good numbers on Saturdays in Middletown, some good weeknight service, and we're seeing good Sunday service as well. In fact, Sunday service is almost matching the level of Saturday service, which is pretty cool because we just launched it. So people are already kind of realizing, hey, I can use it. And if you haven't heard, definitely use Sunday service because it's a great opportunity. Because a lot of our riders, they don't, if they're just relying on transportation to get around and they don't have other good options, well, it's kind of like when we don't have Sunday service, you're kind of like taking a day away from them almost, from getting around town. So now that we have the full 7-day-a-week service, it just means people are a lot more connected in their communities if you're relying on transportation, and you can pick up that extra Sunday shift. Because a lot of our folks, they work on weekends too. So a great example is the FedEx in Middletown. It's a huge facility. A lot of the ridership comes from there, and you better believe that FedEx runs 7 days a week, all hours of the day. So having that access to more time is just always a good thing. So we're very happy and proud to put that service on the road. So
now, how is Sunday service on the Shoreline? Pretty
also very good. Yeah, we're seeing good, solid numbers there. But again, I always have room to improve, and it just started. But from initial returns, it looks good, and we're definitely seeing people use it. And we want to promote that as much as we can. So definitely take a look at it. And
Now, as far as the Sunday service on the Shoreline, it goes from Old Saybrook to Madison all the way to the gazebo, correct?
Correct, and then back, and vice versa. So there are two buses that run at the same time. So one's going eastbound, one's going westbound. Right? So one's heading towards Madison, one's heading towards. Actually, it was funny. On my drive down here, I was at the intersection at Westbrook. Before I take a left, coming to Valley Shore TV.
Yep. And
on one end there was the 641 bus going to Madison. On the other side of on the other side of the same stoplight was the one going to Old Saybrook. So we kind of met right in the middle there. So it's kind of just fortuitous that happened. But I was able to give a couple of waves, to the drivers. But it was funny.
Sure.
Yeah, that's funny. So proof that they do go both directions. I saw it today. So there you go.
I actually like what you guys did with the buses leaving every hour.
The schedule, you like that?
Yeah,
I'm glad to hear that.
I like that. It's very, very convenient for people that instead of waiting an hour and a half in between buses like previously.
Yeah, they can just hop on one.
Yeah, buses are.
Yeah, absolutely. And so what Pete's referring to there is about a year ago now, we changed the schedules down here in the Shoreline and up in Middletown. And the short of it is we basically, before the changes, a lot of the buses, they all came at different times. So if I'm transferring from one bus to the next in the Shoreline, you might have to wait half an hour, an hour, sometimes even an hour and a half to catch one. So we basically made it so that we changed the schedule so all the buses meet, or at least most of the buses meet at the same time. So that way you can just hop from one bus to the next instantaneously instead of having to wait half an hour for it to roll in. So it was just a much faster and efficient system. So and those pulse points are at the Old Saybrook train station where you can catch 4 buses that all meet at the same time. And there are 2 buses you can catch that are ours in the Scranton Gazebo, and 1 bus that's a CT Transit bus in New Haven. So we have 2 kind of hubs, one in the Scranton Gazebo, one in Old Saybrook, and that 641 bus route serves both of those. That's what it goes between. So. And
now let's talk about bus stop enhancements.
Yeah, no, I'm really excited about this project. So again, another state project that we're involved in, which we're happy. We've been in a lot of state projects. We're happy to be because that's where a lot of good resources and a lot of ways to improve our district.
Right.
This one's pretty cool. So this one's about improving the bus stop experience for riders. Right. So making sure that that we have proper bus stops, bus shelters, amenities, lighting, signage, you name it.
Right.
And so for folks who don't know, a good sort of level setting is that our current system, you might see bus stops around and you'll see even bus shelters around too. But technically, we are actually not a traditional bus stop system. We are what's called a flag stop system,
Right.
which means that you can actually wait anywhere. So in a traditional bus stop system, you'd have to wait at a designated stop sign,
Right.
and then get catch on the bus. And the bus will know to stop there. In our system, which is a flag system, which is common in some rural areas, you actually can pick up the bus anywhere you want on the bus route. So we give time routes and some stops to kind of help people get organized, but technically, you can get picked up wherever you want.
Right.
So what this process will do is this will help give us more amenities for people waiting on the route. So, for example, bus shelters. So
Yes.
the first kind of thing we're doing is in Middletown. We've located 5 locations that would be good for bus shelters. These are high ridership locations where there's a lot of shift work. One actually is FedEx. So FedEx is one of the examples. We have one in FedEx. We have 3 that are outside of major apartment complexes where we get good ridership, and then one in Wesleyan, which is like a student hub there for student riders. So those are our 5 choices there. And actually, right now there are 0 bus shelters in Middletown, which is funny because in the shoreline, if you go up Boston Post Road, you'll see a bunch of them. You'll see bus shelters. So that's because before we merged, they were 2 separate districts. So one district was kind of there's different priorities there. So we're happy to install these soon. We're just working with the DOT and their contractors to create the designs and get it approved by the city of Middletown, that kind of thing. But we're hopeful that those should be up, within the next 3 to 6 months, probably realistically. So that'd be nice to get those bus shelters in the ground. So if you see bus shelters in Middletown, that's us, and hopefully people will take advantage of them. And these are high ridership stops that we do see people waiting on. And I'll also mention this bus stop enhancement program is kind of a good precursor to a I'd say short to medium term goal of we would like to transition the system. As I mentioned, we are a flag stop. We want to become a traditional bus stop system.
Right.
So the end goal of this is to be a system where there will be hundreds of bus drops across the county where you can go and wait and catch the bus and where our routes go. So that is the end goal. That will certainly take time for planning out where those stops go, making sure they're safe, getting them permitted, getting them installed. It will take some time, but I'm excited. But I'm excited to work on it because I do think there are a lot of safety benefits, right? Because right now, you or me could get on the bus, wait for the bus, anywhere on the bus route. Well, some places on the bus route aren't that safe to wait.
Yeah, no kidding.
We have people waiting. We've had some funny, not funny, but scary, but also funny. Some sort of people waiting near guardrails on on 81. Or people on highways and picking up. So we wanted to be very clear that we will only pick people up in a safe location, right? So that's either ideally sidewalk, but if not sidewalk, we understand not everywhere has sidewalk. If you go across our county, there are plenty of places where there's no sidewalk to be seen. So ideally, a green patch of grass, something for us to safely stop.
Right.
Ideally not on a sharp corner, right?
No.
Trying to think of if you're a bus driver, would you want to stop there?
Yeah.
If the answer is yes, go for it. If it's no, try and find a better place to wait. But when we actually have bus stops that are in the ground, we can basically designate where it's safer to wait. And so a big benefit of the bus stop system is safety. And also there'll be less people being missed because sometimes someone might be waiting for the bus, but if they don't wait for the bus driver, it might drive right by them.
Exactly.
But if someone's waiting at a bus stop, they'll know to pick them up. So there's a lot of benefits to it. Safety for me is the biggest one, is safety, but there's some also other efficiency and quality of life benefits too.
Those bus shelters are actually pretty cool. I actually saw one. I saw the one the other day across from Staples in Old Saybrook.
Yes. Yep. Absolutely. And I think we have about 14 or 15 in the system right now.
Wow.
So, but Middleton definitely needs them. It's our highest ridership place, and we have 0. So, it's definitely in need of catching up.
Now, last time you and I talked, they were putting the electronic signs in to show the schedule.
Yep. Yeah. So we have those in Old Saybrook and Madison, and as well as in our terminal in Middletown. And yeah, they've been better. We struggled a while with the vendor giving us inaccurate times on the buses. It was a struggle. I will say right now they seem to be pretty good, especially the ones in Middletown seem pretty good. We're less sure about the ones in Old Saybrook and Madison, but we're working with them to get that resolved.
Right.
It's sort of a complicated technical thing, but they should be a lot better, at least in Middletown. They should be giving you a better time estimation.
Now, we also have a holiday trolley in Middletown, which is going to start Black Friday.
Yeah, that's the plan.
Excellent.
So, yeah, we met with the city of Middletown, and it seems like they want to move forward with, last year we did a holiday trolley, which is pretty cool. We have the trolley bus here, and we actually have a brand new one, which is pretty cool. And so we'll be running that around. You know, it's fun. We put like holiday decorations up there, lights and ornaments and on the bus. And it's like a short loop around Middletown. And the whole thing is we stop at parking lots and go through the main street.
Okay.
And it's kind of designed to connect people. Let's say like, you know, you want to shop in downtown Middletown for Christmas gifts or whatever, and you drive into a parking lot, get off, and here's this bus, and you can hop on with your kids, and it's kind of fun. The kids do love it, you know, the ornaments and the music and the lights, and it's just kind of a fun thing when people hop on. And also if it's a cold day, if it's, you know, a cold New England day, you might want to hop on the bus, get some warmth, and catch you to one end of Middletown to the other. So it's sort of meant to be sort of a fun holiday trolley, but also connect you to shopping centers and parking lots. It's supposed to be, you know, a bit of an economic development kind of driver as well. So yeah, but also just a fun thing that the city likes to do. So
Neat.
yeah.
Now let's talk about the NTD Ridership Certification Program.
Sure thing. So this is kind of cool. I think it's kind of cool as a transit guy. But as part of the signs, we also installed there's certain cameras on the buses that all they do is track motion. So when someone gets on the bus, it makes a count of that. And when someone gets off a bus, it keeps a count of that. And so we get on and off data from these cameras. So what that allows us to do is it allows us to look at the data to see who's getting on the bus where, who's getting off.
Right.
We can't tell who it is. Like, we're not keeping track of data. It's more just, okay, there are 20 people every month getting off at this stop. And, you know, so that way we know, okay, what are our high use stops? What are our low use stops? You know, what can we do to improve low use stops? Or, you know, it's good for our planning efforts. If we ever to make route changes, we know, okay, well, we can't change this stop because we have, you know, 200 people using it a month, so we better not change that stop. So it's just useful for us to know kind of where our stops are going. And so that's working on well. And the technology is already installed, but in order to actually use it for reporting and to give to the government for actual real data, we have to actually test it. So I'll be hopping on 30 bus rides recently in the next couple of months, which will be fun.
Oh, fun.
And I'll be, well, it'll be good. I like getting on the buses and talking to people and see what they think, but also I'll be there to keep track of, I'll be counting who's getting on and off, just raw numbers, and then I'll be matching it with what the technology says to make sure that it's a close match.
Right.
So we have to hit within a 95% threshold. As long as it's close, we can then be certified those machines that they're good enough and they can be used for our ridership collection, which again is helpful for our planning efforts. So
cool.
Definitely a good thing.
Brendan from River Valley Transit. We're out of time. Thanks for some
All right,
time.
thanks so
We'll
much,
see
Pete.
you
I
again
appreciate
soon.
it. Yeah, thank you.
You got it. On behalf of
Appreciate it.
Brendan, I'm Pete Mezzetti. Thanks. Good night. We'll see you next time. Easy.